Hello, hello, good morning, everybody. How's everybody today? Got a few in already. I'm seeing Petty, I'm seeing Martin. Good morning, guys. Yeah, I figured I would come out again today and see if we can pick up where we left off yesterday. Not very successful in getting firmware set up. So I spent a couple hours yesterday in the evening time getting things good to go. So we're able to connect now. I've got Clipper back on the machine. Had to rebuild the entire SD card. Put us back to where I was when we started. I know, Happy. I know. That's what happens when you get a 4-day weekend. I almost did not stream today. I didn't even set things up until this morning because I was on the fence until the last minute. But I really need to do it. It'd be great to show it off as far as how we're going to configure the machine. And then on Sunday, we can do like a more normal, hey, let's print some stuff, hopefully type stream. Friday is the best daytime for streams. I don't know. Usually I'm at work. Normally I should be at work as of a minute ago, and then I'll be there until probably 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m. You're off on Fridays? Nice. Normally I am not. So we'll have one this month, so it'll be a 4-day this weekend, and then next weekend for 4th of July we get our 4th. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe we try to do a Friday stream and a Sunday stream once a month. I don't know. Still growing, still trying to figure things out. So as we get more comfortable doing this sort of thing, we can add or subtract it. Cool. So shall we get into it? I think so. I'm ready to go. I felt bad that we spent 3 hours on stream yesterday and got almost nothing done. So this is my penance, is to come here and hopefully get through it now. All right, let me show you where we're at. So when I go into Chrome, I've got nothing showing. So let me fix that window. So I have to do this every single time. There we go. I don't know why it doesn't remember the stuff, but this is where we're going to start. This is where I normally start as well for anything. You've got something growing on my lip. Yeah, B's been watering the grass. But we have the initial startup checks, the boron documentation. That's where I normally start for almost every printer, just because it makes the most sense. We didn't do that for the Rat Rig because it uses RatOS, a completely different process to commission a machine like that, especially with an IDEX. This is more for the normal type stuff, and so this is what I use. We've got Fluid installed, which means Clipper is good to go. And then if I look at where to go, the system wise, so we're still running that Pi 4, and we're running the main board is here, the SHT36 is there, and then the Raspberry Pi is this one here. What was ended up being the issue with the network? It wasn't the network, it was the Pi itself. So we literally tried everything we could. So new SD card, new firmware. People were saying it's the power supply. We tried a different one, that didn't help. I tried a Wi-Fi dongle, that didn't work. So I think it was just the Pi was dead. So I threw it away. But swapped out the Pi and things connected almost instantly. It just took a very long time to flash it. And I think that's because the network was a little weird yesterday, just being so hot. So that is that. So everything looks good. I've got no errors on Clipper or anything like that. So the printer config I had that I had built previously just seemed to copy and paste right over. I know that probably the X and Y axes need to be figured out and configured in a way that is going to allow them to work together. That's probably going to be a little bit frustrating, but we'll get through it. All right, let's go. So on the initial startup, it has you do a bunch of different things here. So making sure that you can restart and all those things I can. So moving on, it's asking us to verify temperature. So I want you to do just a little bit of a change here. So in the extruder, we'll go up to 50 and see if things work. We have to calibrate MPC because I'm running Clipper first. Oh, sorry, not Clipper, Calico. So with Calico, you get to choose a different type of extruder tuning. So normally everyone is used to PID tune, right? And so the initial startup guide allows for PID tune to run. However, with MPC calibrate, that's not the case. You have to calibrate it first before it allows you to change the temp. Okay. If you see that, don't be worried. How the filament faithful today. Reverend, welcome in, buddy. Welcome in. So that's the error we get in fluid. Main cell is not going to show it in the same way. Instead, you'll have to come over here to the console and you'll see something that says like that. And that will get you what you need. We can check the bed to make sure it's good to go. That's just running PID. So I'll put 50 in there. We'll see if things start to heat up. I'm seeing lights flicker a little bit in here, so that tells me it probably is. I'm seeing temperatures climb on this side here. And then if I feel the bottom of the bed, it feels like it's getting warm. So I can see the SSR light is flashing. There's a flashing light on the main board when that heater turns on and off. So I would say that's a success. Things do work on the heater side, although we will have to PID tune the bed as well. So I can do 0 here to turn that off, and then we can do this MPC calibrate. For that one though, we're going to use the config reference. So if you come into the Calico documentation, so docs.calico.gg, it'll bring you in. Just use the menu on the side here, and then when you go under configuration, you can come down to MPC, and it'll walk you through a little bit of this process. So there's a lot of stuff in here that you should probably read. It talks about how it works a little bit, and why it may be better for filament melting than PID. It talks about different advantages here, but also there's a caution that says it controls things that get very hot. Don't burn yourself. It's pretty simple to set up. All you need to do is remove PID from the control section here and write MPC, and then you add in these elements here, and it'll describe down below what each one does. Your cooling fan is the one that's going to be your part cooling fan. So if you named it something else, you'd want to put that name here. The default is nothing. It's going to use just fan to do that. Almost everybody uses 175, but if you used a 2.8 or whatever the hell it is, you could put that in there. Your filament density is going to be the one that you print the most. I usually print ABS the most, so I'm going to use that density there. If you're printing PLA the most, you may want to change your filament density. And then your heat capacity, same thing. It depends on the filament you're going to run. Cool thing is you have a lot of these optional variables you can add in, and then for your style of hot end, you want to choose the PTC you're using. So here are the common ones across the top on the x-axis, and then down the y-axis, the temperature that you print with the most is what you're going to want to use. So for ABS on a Rapido 2, you probably want to be around 65, 64. I would err on the side of caution and go with the 260 values here. And then this feed forward feature is a feature that when you are printing quickly and you're feeding a lot of filament in, it allows slight increases in heat transfer. So as filament comes through, it's going to try to cool the nozzle. What this does is heat it up a little more so that nozzle has less fluctuation as it. And then if you wanted to have variables in your slicer, you could do that. You could add something like this into your slicer under your filament section. And then for each filament, what's up, Boothie? Good morning or good afternoon for you. You could add this to your filament section in your slicer, and that will pass those variables to the printer. And so you don't need to keep I choose to have these common values in my printer config, and then I just have the slicer pass the material type instead. There's some carbon stuff in here too, so you have some variables for that. And then if you want to add your own to the config, you can do so. This is the portion we're going to run right now, so it's the calibration. And then once you calibrate, at the bottom down here, it's going to save a bunch of stuff to your printer config. Make sure that you save that. If your printer config doesn't, like, let's say your extruder is in an include file, right? So let's say it's in sht36.cfg. If it is over there, you will need to copy and paste that into your printer config. So whatever those values are, you'll need to put them inside of your printer config so that it can actually save it. And that's what it talks about here in this note. And then finally, you add all these macros. I already have these in my macro file, so you want to add this stuff, and that just controls the slicer to make sure that it is heating the hot end correctly and whatever. And then you have your MPC materials. So all those materials we talked about that you could put in your slicer, you could put them in your macro, and that's where I prefer to put them. You can add and subtract these at your leisure. So if you ever print PETCF and you want to have a shorter macro file, you can just delete that line out of there. So that'll be up to you. And then you need to call it. So you'll have a few lines that you need to put in your slicer. If you want to do experimental features, you could do the same process with bed. However, they don't recommend it necessarily, so it's up to you. And then if you want to run it at, like, when you start the print and just have it calibrate at that time, you can do so just by adding this into your start macro. Or you can just do it every time you turn the printer on. So the benefit, right? Why would I want to do this? Come back up top. So it's more fast, more responsive. It's just easier to run it. You get different heaters, and then you get high and low flow hot ends because that filament feed forward feature will account for a lot of that. What's up, Kegel? All right, so let's calibrate. This takes a little bit. We could talk through it while it's calibrated. So the default calibration not macro input is this one here. We'll copy that. Basically, you're going to MPC calibrate. You're going to tell it what heater to heat up. And if you had multiple tool heads, you could do extruder 1, extruder 2, 3, and so on and so forth. So this will work for something like a tool changer. And then your fan breakpoints, that's how many points in the process that it's going to turn on the part cooling fan. So you're going to get air blowing across the nozzle. And so the software can account for and tune for different cooling speed. And if I hit 7, right, it tells me that the stock values are going to do something like that. So it's going to go from 0 to 100 in 7 different points, ramping up that fan speed as it goes, and it's going to allow the hot end to settle. I would run this personally. I would run this in the winter time when it's really cold in the garage. I need to have an adequate value on how fast the hot end heats up. And then in the summertime, like right now, it is only 74 outside. But later in the day, it's going to be up over 100. So if you have wild swings in your temperatures like that, you probably want to pick something in the middle and tune right there, because this feels, for lack of a better term, it feels the ambient temperature of the nozzle before you heat anything up, and then takes that into account. So coming over here, we got the error expected, right? So once we run this, you can see it's very verbose in how it's telling us information. So right now it's saying that it's waiting for the heater to settle, and we're already at ambient because I've not heated up the printer at all. Good morning, bearded printer. And so it's going to target 200 degrees because I didn't tell it anything else. And there we go. All right, so while that's going, you wanted a different target temperature, and I think I do. I'll run this again later. You have to add in target to whatever. Like I said, this is going to be probably mostly an ABS machine, so I'm going to bump that to 250 as my target value, and I'll NPC tune for 250. All right, let's learn a little bit about this while it's going. It's proactive, adjusting in anticipation of temperature fluctuations. Use a model of the hot end, considering factors such as thermal masses of the system, heater power, heat loss to ambient air and fans, and heat transfer into the film. That's something PID doesn't do. It allows to predict the amount of heat energy that will be dissipated from the hot end over a given duration and compensates for this by adjusting the heater power accordingly. As a result, it can calculate accurately the necessary heat energy input to maintain a steady temperature or to transition to a neutral. So if you're one of those folks that have a hotter first layer and then you cool down by 5 degrees for your second layer and above, specifically to make it stick to the plate, MPC can account for that. So I like it a lot. It works pretty well for me. The other side of it is the macros. So you want to make sure these macros in there. I'm going to come over here and check to make sure that I have those. We're looking for those M190s. So there's the MPC that we talked about. If you wanted to come in and tweak these, you could. There's the 109 and the 190 from the example. Pretty straightforward on that. There's the MPC. And then we have to configure the slicer to pass the current material type. So if I'm using Prusa slicer, I would add this. I think Orca's the same. That's what I tend to use anyway. And then in your print start macro, you have to add this line here. We'll come back up to the top. We'll add right here. We'll add that. It's going to pass all these variables from the start. We can save that. And then over in the slicer, whenever that opens up, one here. I don't know why that's not on screen, but we can change it. There we go. And then I want to make this a touch. There it is. All right. So in the slicer, I hope that when I go through these menus, it shows this to you guys. We're going to use my boron standard profile with generic ABS, and need to create a printer. I need to capture this window here. Give me a second, folks. A new one, we'll call this yeah, it sucks that it doesn't capture this naturally and have to add it. What's the benefits to going to Calico? I think you mean over clipper. Benefits are that it's like Clipper without training wheels. So if you really want to customize your printer and have access to features that Clipper doesn't support natively, then Calico might be your thing. If you don't play with your firmware that much and you're not doing anything crazy as far as builds, probably going to be fine on Clipper. If you build a machine and you just print with it and you never change anything, you don't really update, you don't do mods and whatever, you're going to be fine. Just stick with Clipper. But Calico, if all you wanted was the MPC feature that we're talking about right now to make your hot end heat the filament more efficiently and better, then you have to go Calico. Also, you can enable or disable any of the features you want. Clipper is very controlled in what they allow you to do with your firmware. Calico has no training. So it's up to you whether or not it's going to be beneficial. It really depends on what you want. Typing Calico more, he's Clipper more. I mean, we can go through some of the features here in a second. Let me get this printer set up. And hopefully, let's make this a existing printer. Yeah, we're gonna make a new one. Can't find. We'll call it Inertia Cube. Mark 1. It does have a 0.4 nozzle. I want to say the bed is 300 by 300, although I don't know that we can get there. We may update that later. Max print height should be I think around 250. We'll find out once we move things around. And we'll hit OK on that. Filament preset. Select all. Well, let's see. I think it's probably close to a boron, so we'll pull in. Yeah, we can pull in all of that stuff. The trident. Bring in all these generic things. I don't print PVA. I don't print hips. And those are fine. Process presets. I don't know what that is. We'll create that. Oh, I guess we have to. Here we go. So it's going to create this machine for us based on a Voron Trident 300. That's probably what it's close to, so I think it makes sense to have that. It's frozen. All right, please go to the printer settings to edit. We'll do that. All right, so we got it in there. That's great. Sure. Multiple bed types. Why not? Actually, no. We'll turn that off. I don't normally switch plates. It is a Core XY. It's running Clipper. We use firmware retraction because that's what I like. This one's expensive, so we'll call it 35. That's just going to give you, like, when you slice your files, it'll give you a money cost. Sure, all of that. Sure. This is going to be, it's a Basel, so it's tungsten or whatever, but I don't have that, so we'll use it that way. We do have bed fans, so I'm gonna leave that on. We do not have a air filter yet. Once I add that, if I add that, we'll add it in. But we need to copy over that start print macro thing. So just copying that from the Calico page. We'll put that in our start print stuff. You can, if you want to keep the original, you can do so. And just comment it out like that by putting a semicolon. And then I typically will space that down and then do bam, like so. You want to make sure this part is exactly what your macro is called. I believe mine is called print start versus start print. If you get those words backwards, it's not going to work for you. And if this is your first printer build, you're going to feel it because you're going to be super confused. And if I look at my macro, it does say print start. Print start, material, extruder temp, bed temp, first layer, and chamber temp. If that's something you want. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save all of that. My extruder, no, we can't change anything there, but our motion ability, once we get speeds and feeds, we'll come back and update all this stuff to its capability. But the basic information on what we have is correct. So there is that setup. Yeah, cool. So coming back over to Chrome, this is where we are as far as progress. I did hear the fans kick on a little bit. Move some of that so you guys can see. Downloaded Streamlabs last night. Sorry, Kego, I was on a different window. I didn't see your message till just now. Does that mean you're going to start streaming? Kegel, did we get you to 50? If we got you to 50, that's awesome, dude. All right, so there's our input right there. And then it says we're waiting to heat it up. And then we started heating with 0 fan speed. Then we did 17. We're at 33. Now we're at 67. So as it turns on the fan, it waits for that temperature to stabilize, and it's taking readings all across the process. Once it stabilizes, and it's not fluctuating the 0.1, 0.2 like this one here, it'll kick the fan on even higher until it gets to 100%, and then it'll run that last test. So we're just about there. I think it's cool. It tells you how many watts it's pulling. And you'll notice, like, across the curve, that's pretty flat all the way through. Fans just kicked on a little higher. Looking at the stuff. Yeah, now we're at 83% fan. We'll do that one plus one more and we should be good to go. I think I want this to go the other way. There we go. Where we can kind of see both a little bit. Almost done. So while that's happening, Kago asked why we would want to use Calico over Clipper. Well, here are the features. So if you go under features, we could talk about it. You get high precision stepper movement. Now you have to, when you're building the firmware for the printer itself, you're building that Clipper config with the make menu config command. You have an option to select high precision stepper motor movement. If you select that, though, it does take a lot more processing power. So make sure you have a capable host computer. So probably a Pi 4 or better. I think you could probably get away with a Pi 3, although I haven't tried it personally. So keep that in mind. Not usually going to use a Pi 0 for something like that. Let's see what else. They talk about high stepping rates on both new and old microcontrollers. Printers with multiple microcontrollers. Simple config file. Yeah, that's normal. So here's another one that you may be interested in. Smooth pressure advance. So they took pressure advance from normal Clipper and made it better somehow. I don't know how the code behind the scenes works, but smooth pressure advance is supposed to improve that feature. They do input shaping. natively, and then also they have a couple of tests that you can run. So there's a PA test that they run through macros, and then there's a ringing test that you can run through macros. What else? Additional features down here. So oh, the kinematics. So they support other kinematics. Like you can see you have Cartesian, right? That's like the normal thing. But if you go into their configuration reference, you can see that there are a lot more kinematics. So you have independent limits for your limited Cartesian. So you can have an X velocity separated from your Y velocity. So if you have a bed slinger, for example, and your Y is heavy because you're moving the bed around, you can have that limited to one velocity and one acceleration. But your X-axis is usually lighter. It's usually more stable, and it only moves in one direction. So, or not, I guess it's two directions. But you can usually run your X-axis a little higher velocity. And so this allows you to do that. It's also true for the Core XY. So you have your normal Core XY, and then you have limited Core XY, which is what we're using on this machine. And again, I get the same benefits. I can have independent accelerations for each axis. Do the same for Core XZ. So if switch wire is your thing, you can have independent speeds there. They can support polar, rotary, and cable winch if you like it, or none if you are just using Clipper to run some other sort of robot, I guess. There are improvements to the Z-tilt. So this would be your normal Z-tilt stuff that you would use on a Trident or something similar. But then they have an Z-tilt next generation that allows you to use Z-tilt auto detect. And from there, it'll automatically find where your pivot points are based on how the bed is moving and what it senses. So that's kind of cool. There's a Z thermal adjust feature. So as your printer heats up and that frame expands, you get micro changes in your gantry. The Z thermal adjust can't account for that. You have phase in stop features. So if your in stops are pretty accurate, if you use something quality, it will be. It can make sure that the motor is triggering at the same step on the motor each and every time. You get a little more accurate in stop. What else? You have some probe eddy current support. So if you like an eddy current sensor like a beacon or a cartographer or the SHT that we're running now, there's native support for that. You have some Z calibration stuff. If you're using a pin like on a V2 to set your nozzle offset, you have a Z calibration feature. And then where you really get crazy is with your custom heaters. So you can create custom heaters and have like chamber heaters and things like that that are not specifically supported in Clipper, but here in Calico they are. So this heater fan is more something like a chamber fan. So it comes on when the heater comes on. Sorry, that would be heated fan. Heated fan is your chamber fan. So things like that. That's what makes it different. I'm looking through, not seeing a whole bunch of other stuff. I guess tools calibrate. So that's something. And then for bleeding edge, you have even more features. This one is very aggressive on what you're allowed to do and change. And you can get into all sorts of crazy things like non-linear pressure advance. Never even played with it, but you could. All right, let's check it out. So looks like they finished. We can save, config, and restart. It's going to add all of these sections to our extruder here. And then we'll get some saved variables at the bottom of the configuration file. All right, so we'll take a look at the extruder. Yeah, there are the changes that they added in. And if we go to the bottom, here we go. There are the changes. Okay, so we know it heats up. We know that it works. I'm not worried about anything else as far as like trying to make it test it out to make sure that it's heating properly. All right, so we've already verified heaters. Next, we need to verify cooling fans. We kind of did that through the MPC process as well. I can hear the hot end fan still going because the hot end is cooling down. Still a little bit warm, but I can hear that fan turning. Part cooling fan, I heard that come on as well as part of that MPC calibration. And the controller fan, I did not hear come on. So we need to take a look at that one in the config and make sure we have things set up like they should be. So here are my fans. There's my controller fan. Let's make sure it's in pin P2. Looks like it is in F7, not F7. And it will come on when the extruder or the heater bed is on, or if steppers X, Z, or extruder. Save that one. And then to test it out, we'll turn the bed on 50. And I'm not seeing anything turn on. What's up with that? Interesting. See, I knew when I put the electronics cover on that we were gonna have issues, and I double guessed doing so. But decided to go with it anyway. That's okay. We'll pull this off of here real quick and see if we need to make some moves. Okay. So that is removed. Should be able to access what's going on. What is this? Broken something. Okay. So let's take you over to the toolbar. See what's camera's not working. Hold on 1 second. Make sure we got the right one. I think it got too hot and turned itself. There we go. Much better. Okay, so we can see down in there a little bit. Let me zoom in. So right now, the printer is here. You can see that we have the fan. This is just a basically a splitter that takes 2 down into 1 and then connected here into fan port 7. That's not working. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that I didn't put these in backwards somehow. Pull some of these wirings out of here. I put motors in last, so like all the motor wiring is on top of these connections here. You see I have 2 JST connectors from my fans. Those are red to red, red to red, so I shouldn't have them cross. They are 24 volt. The jumper is set to 24 volt. One thing I was unable to tell from the documentation is whether or not the fan is positive on the left pin or positive on the right pin. So potentially I could have that backwards, but I'm seeing a red light on the board, indicated that it is like on. I don't smell anything. I don't see anything. These fans are new. They should be working. I mean, I'm hesitant to swap the pins because I don't know for sure which pin is which. Let's see if there's something in the documentation. Went over to the Corvus G. That. Seeing 12 fan ports. Cool. You'll notice there's no positive and negative on the board itself to tell me what is what. Did all that. Config. Okay, here we go. I mean, again, it just tells me what is what. Need not consult a pinout diagram while writing the config file. I mean, that's super helpful. But what pin is what pin? All stepper stuff. Fans, here we go. Only use those heater pins for driving heaters. On this board, these do not turn on while the STM32 is in boot mode. The same is not the case for the other pins, such as fan 4. Connecting heaters to a non-heater port may result in catastrophic results. That makes sense. Yep. Okay, so they have 12 volt access. Oh, sorry, 24 volt power. The fan ports 2 through 7 are selectable. And plugged into fan port 7. 8 and 9 are 12 volt only. I'm not using 8 or 9. I'm not using 8 or 9. Fan ports 10 and 11 are 5 volt. Okay. But it doesn't tell me which one is which. And there's not a JST here to be able to reference. And then we get into motor voltage. That's the end of the guide. So then, not helpful. Maybe something in mechanical. Step file. See what that is. About hardware. G. What is this? Schematic. Maybe that helps. No. No. What else? We can go into the Discord and ask questions, but I want to do that on stream. Look at the older board and see if there's anything in there. Okay, so my end stops are wiring the 5 volt power harness. Okay, so they're using the 5 volt line to power a Pi. Okay. 24 volts fine. Motors, expansion ports, cool. How about fans? Nothing tells me which pin is which on the fan. I mean, I understand the 12 and 24, but I don't know which pin is which on the fan. I don't want to go too like in the weeds on this thing, but I feel like I need to know that eventually. I wonder if it's like on the bottom of the board, like if there's something on there. Let me try to pull the bottom of this board out. I think I can just slide that up a little bit. Let's see under there. Yeah, there's no silk screen on the bottom of that board. There's no way for me to tell. I have no idea what's what. Put that motor wire back. Cool. Misters. Okay, I guess we'll have to come back to that one because there's no information that I can find on what is what. I hope I didn't burn the fans up. I didn't smell anything, but they've been installed in that position for a while, so maybe I burned them up a week ago and didn't know it. Either way, bed is on 50. Let's make that 2. Back to initial start. Okay, so things heat up, things cool down. Stepper motors. This is the good part. So the buzz, and I think what I'll do is while we're buzzing motors, here. And we can move the camera up to like motors. Bring you out wide. Bring you up a little bit. So everything is not moving, so we'll just push that to the center. And we'll see if we can buzz some motors here. We'll do X, Y's, and then we'll do Z. More. You guys can see what's going on. All right, I'm just going to be running commands. And you should be able to see the commands in the top left corner of your screen. Let's make it just a touch bigger. And we'll move it down here. That way you can see the commands. Am I going for Mr. Beast colors? I'm going for bearded printer colors. I'll tell you what, let's put this over. There we go. So first command I'm going to run is just buzz motor stepper X. Try that. So stepper underscore buzz space stepper equals stepper X. I can see that it is moving counterclockwise, I think. Trying to figure out, let's run that again. It happened too fast, I was talking. No, those are, so realistically, bearded printer, those are colors that I had in stock as far as Ambrosia goes. And so just trying to use up stock that I had, and I thought the blue and the purple went together. Try this command one more time. This motor. All right, so it's going counterclockwise first, and then clockwise. You like the blue and purple? I do too. And then we have pops of orange as well throughout. This is neon orange from Polymaker. This is sparkle sky blue from Sparta, and then all the purple stuff that you can see around. That is all Ambrosia. What are they calling it? Sparkle purple, I think. I don't think I have any more over here. I used the last of it, but whatever their sparkle grape or whatever it is. You have Prince Purple printed parts on your 2.4. I bet you that looks good too. I've got some of that over here. There's my Prince of Purple. Something like that. Got 2 boxes of this one. Since Ambrosia became a thing, I've been buying that instead of Sparta, but I've had this Sparta ABS for a couple of years before Ambrosia was viable. What motor should it turn? Let's see. All running correctly at the end of the test. Small Sharpie, sure. Okay. Clockwise and counterclockwise are from the top-down view, looking at the XY motor. So if I'm looking for a, we'll call it a trident, the motor will rotate I can't speak. Clockwise first, then back counterclockwise. Let's buzz that one more time. I'll make sure what we're looking at. I'm seeing a that it's backwards. So it's turning to the printer left side first. And if I'm looking at the motor from top down, it's going left first, which would be counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. So I'll just take a note that I need to change that. So X is backwards. What did I do with my notepad? Yeah, so I keep a little notepad around like this right here, and I just take notes in it. So I'll draw little brackets or whatever, and then I take this inside with me to the main PC to use CAD or whatever. But I also use this for notes. So I know that X is backwards. So whatever symbology that you want to use to help you find out or remember what is what, that's what you should use. So then we'll buzz Y. Oh, it's got to be lowercase. Somehow I had uppercase on. Looking at Y. Y appears to be correct. Y is good. And then if we do X1, that is our next one. X1, the next one. That's awesome. That should be the front left motor. And it isn't. It's the right. So these need to be swapped in, because you want your Y's diagonally across from one another, and you want your X's diagonally across from one another. So that is a change that we need to actually physically move the motor connections on the main board. So that needs to happen. So we'll take a note of that one. So looks like X1 swap connection. Okay. Let's see. Let's check out Y1 really quick. See if it actually, no, we need to. I noticed that it was wrong and I forgot to check which way it was turning. So we'll run X1 again. X1 appears to be correct, so no inversion needed there, just a cable swap. Then we'll do Y1 next. And what I'm doing with my hand is I'm putting my finger on top of the motor shaft to feel it, and then I can also look through one of these tiny windows here on the tensioner to visually see which way it's turning as well. The ones in the rear are a little bit harder unless you're coming from behind the printer this way. There's a small window that you can see it. But I was watching the belt in that case to see it going into the left. It wraps around the pulley that way. So, okay, so stepper Y1, even though it's in the wrong port. Y1 appears to be correct. Okay, so we just need to make the one inversion on X and then swap the connectors. Okay, let's go through Z now. We'll check out what Z is doing. So Z1 is going to be the front left, or sorry, Z0 is front left, Z1 back left, Z2 is back right. Z3 is front right. So Z, the bed should move down first and then back up. We can verify here. So Z1, front left corner of the bed moves down, then back up. That is true on the documentation, and that's true in real life. So Z looks good. We'll check out Z1 here. Z1, bed should go down and then back up, and that is true. Z2. Z2 is correct. Bed moves down and then back up. Checking out Z3. Z3 is correct. Bed moves down and then back up. I'm not exactly sure if you can see that on camera. It's only a 1 millimeter move. I can kind of see it on camera, but it's just barely kind of moving. So Z motors are good. Most of the gantry motors are good. I just need to make the swap on the main board, so I need to power down to be able to do that. So let's go back into our Chrome tab. I'll make the change for the inversion on the initial stepper motor. One thing I like about Fluid is it will pause in the configuration where you last left off or made a change. So as I'm coming in here and scrolling up to my x-axis stepper, we need to make a change on x1 here. That one is not inverted. Sorry, wrong one. Should be motor X. That's why we take notes. So that one there is not inverted. Okay. And then when I save and restart this, it'll pick up right here where I left off. It won't start all the way at the top like it does in mainsail. So we can save and restart. Once that comes back up, we'll shut down using the button. Post down. Yes. We'll give that a few seconds to finish and power off, swap motors, power back on, see what happens. That's pretty cool. We're getting progress this hour. I'm not seeing many new people pop in, or at least no one's talking about it. So if you are just getting here, we're making sure that the firmware on the Inertia³ Build is correct. So I'm running through the initial startup guide that Voron provides for their printers, because this one is very close to that. It is just not exactly this. Oh, I totally forgot to run in my mouth. I forgot to swap the motors before I powered back on. Come on, come on. There it is. All right, power back down. Definitely swap the motors this time. Again, just waiting that few seconds. Power down the machine. Back up here. What's up, DaVinci 10? Good morning, sir. Making just one hardware change. I had my drives here swapped. So X needs to Y goes here. Oh, thanks. I don't have much of a beard. I just haven't shaven in 2 days, day and a half. But normally I don't. I shave Sunday night, Wednesday morning maybe, and then that's it, unless I have an event on Friday. Cool. So that should be good to go now. Let's power that back on. Yeah, I don't have much of a beard. I don't know what you mean. Maybe a 5 o'clock shadow. Got that caterpillar on my lip. That's a flavor saver, Betty. Not a caterpillar. Okay, let's buzz those steppers again to see if we got it right this time. So we need to buzz X1. So that should be front left. And it is. It's moving counterclockwise first, which tells me that it's back. So we need to invert X1. X1 invert. Then we'll buzz Y1 now. I think Petty, you should just grow a mustache and join the club instead of fighting the force. All right, this one. Y1 is also inverted. You should be on this page. The Y1 also needs to this is the crazy part when it comes down to an all-wheel drive printer is these motor directions for all four. Let's see, so F1 that off, and then Y1 we're going to add that inversion. So we added it here to Y1. The exclamation point on the derp and we'll invert the logic to make it turn the opposite way. And then we took it off of the X1 here. We'll save and restart that guy. You have a glorious mustache surrounded by more facial hair. Have you seen the one where like the baseball player, right? They have the hair and then they'll have it come down. They'll have it come down like, let's see, they'll have it come down one side of their face and then across and then over. And it's like a monkey tail that goes around. It's so dumb, but it's funny as hell. Okay. I feel like we should almost buzz X and Y again just to ensure that things are working right. So Y1, back left. It is opposite, so it's going counterclockwise. So let's try that one more time. Yeah, so we need to invert Y, and then also maybe X. Let's see. Yeah, X needs to invert as well. Back in here, we can invert X and Y. We'll do that and that. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Following the directions, they don't absolutely pertain to a quad XY build, but we'll see. It looks absurd, but you love it. Grow out a better mustache. Wife says it tickles her lip. When I cut mine off, my wife tells me that I am wrong. She tells me that I have to have a mustache because I look weird if I don't. But I think that's because she met me this way. I've had a mustache and it's nice. I think if Bearded Printer's still here, he should make a floppy mustache to go with his floppy beard model. Just my opinion. Okay. We got through all of that. Let's check some in stops. So coming over to this guy. Make it pretty easy. If you go inside of config, it's different here. Under tune, I believe. Yeah, so tune if you're using fluid. Refresh that. It shows that everything is triggered. I only have the one in stop on Y, so I'm pressing that with my hand. Refresh, it shows open, so I need to invert the Y in stop. For Z, it shows triggered right now. If I put something metal near it, do some metal something, and then refresh. Still showing triggered. Still showing open on the probe. So maybe some work there to do on that. And then for X, we need to run sensorless because I don't have an in stop on X. Unless anyone knows of a Reaper carriage that has an X in stop on it, I'll redo it, but I could not find an X in stop for the X axis for a Reaper carriage. If I had a like a CNC carriage for cartographer or tap, then for sure I would have an X axis in stop. But for the Reaper carriage specifically, I couldn't find one. I could modify it to have one, but I just didn't. I don't want to. Okay, so we'll invert the Y and stop. Okay, right in here. In stop pin, we'll take away that conversion, save and restart. Go back over to tune and then make sure those changes do what we want. Okay, so Y is open right now. Press the button. It is triggered. Release the button. It is open. Good to go. Okay. Now it tells us to do an XY homing check. I know that I'm using sensorless on the X, so I feel like I need to set that up before we home X and Y. So under tuning guides, there's a configure sensorless homing feature. And the cool thing is it breaks it out for normal clipper and calico. Because calico has native sensorless in-stop support, there are just a couple of lines that you add. For clipper, you have to do some macros and things like that. So make sure you're using the right one. So for stock clipper, you would do all of these things. I'm not doing that. I'm using calico here. So the example they give is just the same. You're just adding a few lines right here. And then down below, you want to do that. So how do you update the config? Well, clipper details, you have to add all this into your macros for clipper. For calico, you don't have to do anything. So it's a lot nicer. Okay, so for X, see if we can do, let's see, go to your in-stop pin and make it a virtual in-stop pin. Mine should already be done, yes. So there's the virtual in-stop pin you want to add. We have homing speed for track distance to be 0. Your min homing distance, like that's how far you need it to move to be able to trigger an in-stop sensorless. So I think the config over here has it missing altogether, but it's a feature you can add inside of Calico. So it needs to move at least 20 to trigger, and that's supposed to help with false homes and stuff like that. I set it to 20. It's an arbitrary number. It's what I chose. I am not homing in the positive direction. I want X to go left to home, so that it is false. And then you want to turn sensorless on by just adding true. You would do that for every axis that you're using sensorless homing on. So if you're doing it for Y, you can add that there as well. But I do not have it, so that's. I think I can just do this and then that, and then you can make this false if you're not doing it. So that should be good. We'll save and restart that. What else? And so now we go to the 2209 portion. So whatever your drivers that you're using, and you want to have a diag pin to match. So the example they give is diag pin, and then whatever the pin name is. And below that, you need a driver strength, something I forget. For 2209s, it's going to be up to 255. For 5160s is slightly different. So if you scroll down a little more, there are some examples. That's for 2240s. This is 2160s, which is what we're actually using. So to recap, you want your virtual in-stop on your in-stop pin, homing speed of 80, retract is 0, min is 0. Whatever your max is going to be, you need to add that, and then where your in-stop is going to be. I think we have that in ours. The position in-stop is 0. Yep, because we're homing the minimum. If you're homing the max, you would put 350 there. And then under your driver, whatever the normal stuff is here for you, you would add that. Make sure your sense resistor is correct. You're going to add these two lines here. So whatever your SGT is and your pin. For us, going down a little bit, our SGT is -64. That's the most sensitive. So we would expect that when we try to home X, it's not going to move. And then the pin I'm using is stall because we're using aliases. And down on my motor section, if I look at where that pin is installed on motor 0, yes, it tells me that the pin should be stall. You could also use PG4 and that would work. So now that we have that configured, we can kind of go through the homing XY process. Done all that. Done all that. I do have force move enabled true. And it's all in the same config, so I don't need to include anything. I know there was like a homing area. Other changes, finding the value. Okay. Note that at any time, if it grinds or skips, you should emergency stop. This is what you're going to run in the console for 2209s. If you have something else, you'll use a different value. So for us, it'll probably be negative, I don't know, 20, and then you step back into the positive numbers. I like to put my print head in the middle of the machine. That way I see the most movement. So finding the right value, right? The minimum value is what we have installed in there. So we need to just set the value with this command for X. You'd almost pay for you to theme the printer. I mean, you can. I'll theme a printer for you. What else? Do the same thing you did for X, focusing on the Y. Cool. That one purple bracket is bugging you. Which one? This guy? This guy? What bracket? You know, let's get closer. Which bracket do you mean? This one here? Above? This one? Below the PTFE? This one? Yeah, it's got a partner right here behind the chat box, and that's because the bottom end stop is purple, and then the end stop blocker over here is purple, so it's like a sandwich. Are you saying that these should also be purple? Couldn't tell from zoom out. Yeah, it definitely is. Like when you're mixing and matching colors, you got to be cognizant of how that's going to work. So what you should probably do is just theme it out in whatever CAD program you use, and then when it looks right to your eyes, there, make sure that you're selecting the right colors for the right parts when you print them. I I think we should be able to home here. This is an LDO partial kit, but it's a beta, so it's not available. You can self-source if you like, though. So if you want to go through, the BOM is out there on the GitHub. Link is in the description. You can go out there and self-source everything. The kit is not available right now. Maybe in the future. We need to do it all over again. I'm trying to find the right command here. I think it's just, I can run just that. Stickers keep falling off. Stay. Yeah, it's in beta. So there are a few built already. And there's a channel that you can go on Discord and get more information about it if you want to. Those links are in the description if you care to go over there and get more information on the printer itself. Yes, you can build it right now if you want to, but you're going to have to self-source everything. What's up, GTR Dad? Good morning. Let's see. Yeah, I think I just want to run this one command here. Coming back to this, and oh, look at that. The SHD shut down. I wonder why. I hope it's not giving me troubles already. Tell you what, these flies out here are driving me nuts again. I don't know, they just came through. They were not out here this morning. Are we having problems with the SHD already? It's like it's not wanting to connect. What is happening here? Sure, my connections are good. Everything looks fine. Power set. Eyes installed. Things should not be crazy hot. We're not really running any commands. But it's not going to allow me to do anything unless I have that working. Okay, well, let's unplug this thing. Take that out of there. I'm losing all connections. Check this out. I'm not seeing anything that stands out to me like it wouldn't work. It all looks clean and fine. I wish it did fit a little bit tighter, but it seems fine. Restart this once again. IP issue? I don't think so. I think it's just having a moment. Anytime you can't connect to Clipper, you forget there's something in the config. Yeah, so it's been working the whole time. It just on that last restart, things lost connection for some reason. I don't know. So the problem is I don't know if it's the board itself or if it's a or if it's the U2C that we're using. And I didn't really touch anything, so just like moving around to see if I accidentally did do anything. I don't notice anything that I've shaken or whatever. You're good at work, lurking in the streams. It's all good, Martin. Hope a board didn't just die. Yeah, I hope so too. I don't think it did. I mean, we weren't doing anything crazy. Let's just reboot. Yeah, we didn't do anything crazy. We weren't even moving anything. We're just getting ready to start the homing process. And did you drool in the printer? I might have. I'm very anxious to get it going. This has been a process. It's been several weeks that we've been working on this. This week is kind of a mad dash to get done, though. So lots of hours over the last probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get it to the state that it's in now because it was just moving too slow. And so now we're so close that I just want to get it to move. Yeah, so a reboot fixed that. All right, we're going to try stepper X. And the value, it's at -64 right now, so that's where we will leave it. And I think that's the correct driver, SGTHRS. A fly shorted the board. He might have. There's like 4 flies out here. One you could probably see dancing around the printer right now. But that guy is in my face. He's landing on my legs. But he's bold, I'll tell you that. Is it SGTRS? I think it's just SGT. SGT. Field SGT for stepper X, we'll make it that. Send. Makes sense. Now let's see if we can. So let's home Y. Bed moves down. That's good. It's skipping, so something is off with like the way that the XY motors move. We'll have to go back and revisit that. Now it doesn't want to restart. This freaking build, man. Okay. So let's check out the mechanical assembly portion and look for trident. Nope, that's not what I want. There's a movement pattern that you can see in here, maybe initial startup. Yeah, here we go. So for a trident, what I'm looking for is the X to move left and then to the rear. So in the config here, dude, I swear this flies. You're gonna get it. As soon as I find something to hit you with. The most annoying shit in the world. All right. If I see this thing, I'm gonna hit it. So if we make a lot of noise, I apologize. But that's driving me nuts. Hey, Clown Hammer, thanks for being here. Good morning. I think we're just about to get this thing to move. As soon as I kill this fly. Keeps landing on my ears and my legs. Anyway. Okay. So I think I need to change my X. So homing positive direction, we're gonna go true. And that position of that end stop will be at max. So that should be 300 for that. We got stuck in a few meetings. Well, at least it wasn't a phone call. Those are really terrible. Save and restart. Yeah, we're at the point, Clown Hammer, where we're trying to get the thing to move correctly. But it's quad XY, so you introduce a lot of different variables there. Okay, so let's see if Y will home now. Nope, same thing as before. Okay, let's see if X is good to go. Nope. Okay, let's see. Let's see. What can we do? I know there's some documentation because I built the Trident seaboard. Trident. Goodness, you're gonna die. Oh my god, if I catch you fly. All right, so let's check out the seaboard docs and see if they have something over here for the Trident. Let's see the build. Let's check out the initial startup. I have checks here, so let's do that. XY homing check. Here it is. So there's an emergency stop button, and if we have to take some of their config to make it happen, got him. Got you, you little bastard. Decided to land on my hand, and so I just got him and smashed the shit out of him. I think, but I don't see his dead body anywhere. He comes back though. We'll find out. All right, so we should have a testing procedure. Stop thing. Dead fly is the word. Jeez, I don't know how you feel about it, Kegel, but goodness, that is like the thing that drives me insane is when flies are landing on my face and my legs and stuff. Now do it with chopsticks. I don't even eat Chinese food. Murder. Oh man. Yeah, I know that I walked through this process before when building the Trident. And they had a pretty decent guide on how to get the correct motors moving in the correct ways. Driving a Lions camp. Cool. What's Lions camp? I never heard of that. Yeah, let's try this other one here. Connecting, yes. Here we go. Let's try the config. All-wheel drive. You hate flies, and we have hundreds because of the chickens and the ducks? Dude. I'd probably have my house lined with flies after if that was the case. It's the most annoying thing for me. Camp for handicap kids. Oh, that's cool. What did I do with the config? So let's do. Try to open it up and then put it on screen here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I was hoping there was a dark mode on here, but this thing is not. Okay. And now I'll just share this with you all. Here. And this is called there you go. So this is the config that I found that I'm going to try and use for what's going on. We'll put this, I don't know, down in here somewhere. And I'm going to use this as inspiration to set up the rest of it. So I know for my X and Y, here, by this guy. I think it's just they need to be synced, right? Like the wrong ones are turning against each other and whatever else. So I feel like my X motors should be turning the same direction. So the fact they're inverted doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to revert that X1 back to match the dir on X. And then I'm going to do the same for Y, make sure that those two match. Because right now they do. If I look at Y1 and Y, they're both inverted. So they should be turning the same direction. For the X's, they were not. So we'll try that initially. And see if we can home Y. Your wife volunteers as the camp nurse. Okay, that's cool. I don't like kids enough to volunteer to work with kids. Like, I don't mind good kids and whatnot, but in my experience, like, kids are all over the place. You get the not great kids that don't ever listen, and then other kids that do, and the mix and the range in between, not my strong suit. I've never heard of a bug salt rifle. We have the bug zapper tennis racket, though. I need to bring that thing out here. There's always like 1 or 2 flies in here because I have to open up the garage and whatnot to aerate. And so there'll always be like 1 or 2 flies that fly in here and drive me nuts. Give 2 broken ones. Yes, people that deal with children are saints. All right, let's see if we can home Y. Nope, still getting the same thing. So that change we just did not matter. So we can undo that, take it back to where it was. Maybe we invert this one as well. So that way those 2 are inverted, these 2 are not. Try that. Her mom volunteered there for 20 plus years, and she went with her mom when she was a kid. I think the garbage people are here to pick up garbage, so if you hear a lot of noises, that's probably what's going on. They've got the loudest garbage truck ever. Hey Benny, good morning. There's always a battle over how to pronounce your name. I hope I got it right this time. Dago's on his way to a, I heard a print do a thing. Let's see if I crashed it just now. No, okay. Whew, scared me. No, I'm over there doing like a 2-day print, and I heard a weird noise that made me think it might have failed, so I needed to check on that. Sorry, I'm looking around at this new fly that just made its way in here. Okay, so we just made that change. Let's see if Y homes. Hey, look at that. Y is homing very slowly, right? We're doing things slow so that we can not break anything. Benny got here just in time. Kids are okay, especially other people's. You can return them. Ah, you guys are better people than me. One of my daughters is a saint, like super nice kid. Listens, she keeps to herself. She's very quiet. The other one is a rage machine. So the other one, my youngest, drives me nuts. Problem is, she's really cute, so she gets away with it. Okay, so Y is home. Let's move this back towards the front of the machine. It's actually really quiet for how fast that's going. Okay, so that's back in the middle. Let's see if we can home X now. Nope. So X is incorrect somehow. Just trying to move diagonally. I think we changed it to go. Back in here, we changed it to go. To go left. Maybe it should go the opposite way. Maybe, yeah. So position in stop is 0. So going left, homing in the positive direction. Let's go false. That's what we had initially. We are using centralist homing. See if that'll make it work. Yeah, we'll move it back to the center here. Like, I'm okay if centralist triggers early and that's why it stops, but I could hear that the motor was skipping. So I knew that something was off, that the config is not quite right. Okay, so let's try it again. I tried to do something. Let's see. Okay, so now it's moving correctly. It just needs a change on the sensitivity. So that's where we go back to these docks. We have things moving in the proper ways. So our axes are correct in their direction. Go back to the sensorless document and update the config, and we'll run through this process on finding the right state, the right values here. Okay. I tend to do jumps of 50 at first. If it went too low, it might bump harder than it should. If that happens, we'll add half the value. You went half the value you last went down by, and repeat steps 1 and 2. You would of course be increasing from -64, so adjust accordingly. You'll eventually find the biggest number that homes X successfully. And once we find the max, decrease the value by 5 or so until X homes but bumps hard into the rail. You may need to walk this in by changing the value by 1. That's your minimum value. Okay. And then there's some head math you got to do there. Okay. Let's do this one. So we'll copy that guy and we'll come over here, add this into our console. Of course, changing this to SGT because we are on 5160s. We're going to do our X only because X is the sensorless axis. And we'll try, I said they initially start by 50. So if we're at -64, that means roughly 15 will get us there. Let's see how that works. Now that we're over to the machine, see how this works. So moved, but not enough. Okay, we'll run the command again. This time we'll do we'll go again 50, right? So it should be +35. Move that head back. Tools. How do you turn the motors off? Send that value, and then we'll do the M84 to release the motors. Back in the center, send the value, and then we'll try to home X with only +35. Nothing. Okay, so increasing again, we can use. We'll go to 50 and try to home it. Still not working there. Okay, so we'll go max. We'll go 64. Feel like something is not correct here. Still not working. I wonder, I'm going to try something. So I have this theory that PMC Auto-Tune is screwing with us. And so I'm just going to disable that for Stepper X here. Where's Bruno? Haven't seen him go live in a while. Who's Bruno? I'm going to turn off Auto-Tune for X. And start at 50 again for Stepper. Send that one and ride to home. Still triggering. Go to 64. Ride to home. Still triggering. What is going on? I wonder if that command is just not working in this case. So we can undo that change. Let's go and just adjust this manually. It's gonna be a little bit more of a process, but we can adjust as we go. Oh, maybe that's why there's 2 driver SGTs in here. I don't know how that happened. Okay, so maybe that will work now. So let's try negative 35. Move this back to center. Try home in it. Nope. Back into big, and we'll change it to. Bruno's another hobbyist from Portugal, builds printers and custom CNC. Dude, that's awesome. That's the exact content that I like, but I have not heard of Bruno at all. What's the name of the channel? I'm gonna just try positive 15 here. See if we can home with that. No? Okay. What about a 35? Bruno is a legend, but I don't know the legend of Bruno. Bruno Silva? That's the channel? Never heard of that. That is just not working out for me. I don't know what's happening here. I mean, we can go max on the SGT. So we'll go 64. But I'm not confident that it will. I wonder if I should just remove the minimum distance. I'm gonna take that 20 out of there that we were talking about earlier on the minimum home distance and just comment that out. It's not required. Just try to eliminate some variables here. Driver SGT in section 5160 must have a max of 63. Okay. So 64 is not the max, 63 is. Save and read. Not sure. You think he has a lot of work? Nothing. That's annoying. trying to follow the process here, but the process doesn't work. So what do you do in that case? So I'm following this guide, and it does not work for me. So I wonder if Calico has something in here that is a little bit. So let's try getting up and running, maybe. Tuning, maybe? No. Big checks. Okay. I think we've done all of that. We've verified in stops. We've buzzed steppers. Next up is the leveling guide, resonance, application. Just want to hold. Try the config reference and see about stepper and see if it says anything about sensorless. Yeah, so if true, disables the second home action. Default is true, the in-stop pin is configured to use virtual in-stop. Okay, but talk me through it. Like, how should it work? Maybe in rotation distance? No? Okay, let's look for sensorless. Okay. Limitations. All right, here are the prereqs. So we've got the 5160 and the 2160 is what we're running. We have the diag set. Steps in the config checks document must be run to confirm stepper motors are configured and working properly. They are. We have enabled things. So we have this in here. So rotation distance 40, homing speed 20. Okay. A little bit. Rotation distance 40, homing speed, what did I say, 20. So basically half of what we're doing. Okay. Configure for sensorless homing. Be sure that a hold current setting is not specified. Maybe that's the issue. I feel like we had one. Yeah, this hold current. Get rid of that. And I think that's probably true of all of these. I don't know why there's one in here. I think that's probably the config that the board recommended in their stock config. But I want to say Clipper doesn't recommend using a hold current. So we'll just take all of these out. What else? Is necessary. Okay. If a hold current is set, then after contact is made, the motor stops while the carriage is pressed against the end of the rail, and reducing the current while in that position may cause the carriage to move. That results in poor performance and will confuse the tuning process. Okay. It's necessary to configure the sensorless homing pins. Okay, that's what we're doing. Home current 1, sure. Must be greater than 10, greater than 0, or set that. Okay, I think ours are 0. Hello. Main retract 0, yes. Okay, good. So for these, negative 64, the pin, home current, sure. That's crazy because the example shows home current 1, but it said not to set it. So should it be set or not? What is it? Home current? Is that what it is? Home current 1. Home current. Save and these, we're setting this value. Then issue an x0 command. Continually decrease the value of the field. To start each attempt with the carriage near the center of the rail, should be possible to find the highest sensitivity that homes reliably. Settings with higher sensitivity result in small or no movement. Note the found value as max sensitivity. If the minimum possible is 63 is obtained without any carriage movement, then something is not correct with the diag/SG test pin wiring or configuration, and it must be correct. I wish there was an example there of like what would be correct or what is you're supposed to change. Anyway, let's try this again. So 64 should not do anything. Taking you back to the printer now. If I home X, even anything happen? No, which is what we expected. So if I decrease this, let's say we take it down to 35. And we try to home X again. Nothing. So we'll decrease down. Let's say we'll go to 0. And that. I tell my my Z motors are getting a little bit low here. This chain is. Oh, I see. Okay, I need to make a change on the Z chain there. Anyway, so 0 now. Let's see if that will do anything. Nothing at all. What if we did motors off and force move? Yes. We're gonna move Z up. Why is it not allowing me to do that? Force move is on, but it won't let me move Z at all. Let's try. It won't let me move it. Okay, well. So let's continually decrease and we'll keep moving. See if 15 will work. We can home X now. Nothing. Let's try max. 63. See if that's the home. Nothing. That's so crazy. But why will home? Yeah, Y is going just fine. Anybody have any ideas? X doesn't want to seem to home today. I'm just homing Y so that I can try and home Z. And remove this plate just in case I don't want to scratch it. Okay, so X and Y should be good to go. If I try and home Z, let's see what happens. I'll be ready on the button to stop things. Oh wow. That's not cool. It's because our sensor thinks it's triggered. So there's still stuff in probably this guy. Okay. Sure. and that all looks fine. What is the X offset for this? It looks to be in line with the nozzle, so I'll keep it at 0 for 25 on the Y. I would say it's probably maybe 30. Best guess. Z offset. Let's see. Maybe. Maybe 10. A little tall. I thought about putting a spacer in there to space it down. We'll see if it becomes a problem. I have a feeling it will. Put a little spacer in there, space it down to roughly have a Z offset from the nozzle of like 2 or 3. That way it's more in line with normal normal beacon and cartographer probes. I have a feeling right now it's going to touch the bed. The nozzle will touch the bed before the sensor triggers. Okay, so GPIO 28 makes sense with the SHT configuration sheet that I misplaced somehow. No problem. We'll come over here. The 28 should be our equipment here. So the beacon, that's the bus, that's the address. Where's GPIO 28? This was super helpful, by the way. Let's zoom in. Where we at? We have so it doesn't show its own sensor on here. That's a little crazy. So when I zoom in, I could see connecting a smart sensor. So this was super helpful for doing that and configuring that. Using click here or any of these other ones, that is helpful as well. But it doesn't show anything for connecting the eddy sensor, like what that should be as far as pins. So pretty much whatever's in the Clipper config is what you're going to be stuck with. So coming in here, this is what I copied over. Let's see. These are the pins for the accelerometer. Cool. Shooter. Cool. Fans. Great. And then we get into the tap and the things. Okay, that's BL touch. GPIO 22 is not correct. 24 is, we're not doing that. So I wonder if the pins are weird. Oh, let's try this. Okay, so according to this, we should be golden. Yeah, I just copied this straight over. The Z offset. Maybe there should not be one, because that's not in the config. So let's do this. Enforcement. So there should only be 3 sections for this probe. That's good there. What's the other stuff? Oh, force move. Yeah, we have that in the printer config itself. Speed is 10. Yeah, these all look the same. I didn't change anything here. To be sure, we can do a copy and paste. And we said this was 30. These are good. That's so my sensor type, sure, whatever. Use the eddy. Okay. Do I need to, oh, maybe that's why I need to add all this stuff. Because we swapped out the pie and I never got back to all this. Okay. Now I'm understanding. So I probably need to jump in here and do that. So I'll tell you what, let's go over to the shell. And we can move around some of this. There we go. Okay, so we're going to connect to our pie here. Inertia Cube. Make that go away. And we need to run some commands. Open the downloaded tool, enter the following command and press enter. So I don't know that I need to do all this because it's natively supported by Calico. But I do feel like if I want to keep the script updated, I have to add that stuff. So I don't feel like I need this. Anybody else have a different opinion? I'll be cloning that, running the script, keeping it updated for Eddie. And then it's going to want to add in some stuff to the printer config for quad gantry level. I'm using this input in and press enter. Okay. For these, remember to perform multi-Z leveling. Refer to the XY offset calibration method. Safety home. I believe we have that. Safety home. Yeah, we have that. 150, 150, 300, 10, and 5. Sure, that's what they recommend. Click the macro calibrate DD. I think maybe we do need this. Because I don't have any of these macros. Some compensation. All right. And I know that their GitHub has nothing on it for this. So go Mellow 3D, repos, and I look for SHT 36. Don't find anything for that. Nothing. So not helpful. Okay, let's just run it. So we need to do this. And then run this one here. All right, that's pretty quick. And then run the shell. Great. And then, oh, that's because I didn't get all of it, I don't believe. This one. Okay, sweet. Now we need to do that next step on the instructions. So if you have updated, use the SSH tool to execute the following commands. Sure. Okay. Choose 3Z to ensure the printer config has Z tilt, or 4Z to ensure it has quad gantry level. Okay. So it looks like option 6 for us. So option 6 here, or sorry, 5 is our Eddie English 4Z. I speak English, and we have 4Z axis, so we'll choose number 5. You want to delete the existing file and recreate it. Sure, why not? And then from what we remember over here in the instructions, it told us to select, if you're using the SHT36 version 3, input no and press enter. So over here, we're going to press no, and that's it. Okay, if shown as in the figure, it means success. Okay, so if I close that and firmware restart. Okay, so it looks like sensor type is invalid, sensor pin is invalid, temperature probe is invalid. All right, take a look. So they did a little bit of changes in here, I guess. Like space in between macros so that I can see what's happening. I'm not seeing the things that they are complaining about. And I wonder how this messes with all of my stuff. So I have my own quad gantry level and whatever already set up. And I realize it's changing it, but okay. I think that's how I like it. I need to figure out these warnings now, I guess. Sensor type is invalid. I wonder if that's because something's in here. Let's look for Eddie. Okay, so it put some other stuff in here. Eddie, and then probe, Eddie, current fly, Eddie probe, the offset is 1. Sure. But it's complaining about temperature probe, fly eddy probe. On our temperature probes. I'm seeing one. There's not one in here. What about over here? What is it complaining about? It looks correct. HT36. Temperature probe. Fly eddy probe. Saying the sensor type and the sensor pin are incorrect. Temperature probe, fly eddy probe is invalid. So is that section not supported? Is that what we're saying? Sensors here. guess we'll find this one. Temperature probe. Yeah, they don't even have that. Okay. Not sure. Probe. We just followed the instructions here. Maybe I just need to add this in Moonraker, and that'll make it work. Because it was working before with what we had. And then when we just did that update, it doesn't work. All right, Kay, go see you, buddy. Enjoy Lions Camp. Okay. Repo dev. Yeah. Yeah, that's really crazy. Temperature probe, fly eddy probe is invalid. Why would it be invalid? State somewhere. Okay. Any other things? Everything's up to date. Don't know why we're getting this warning. Sensor type invalid. Sensor pin invalid. Tell you what, let's just take it out of there then, I suppose. I don't know why that would be invalid. I mean, good now, I suppose. I know we didn't have it double pasted anywhere. A lot of this stuff commented out for later use. Filament sensor we've moved to a different config. We'll get rid of that. Gantry level, they are doing a replacement somewhere for things and stuff. So I just had a thought too, because we were initially starting off on the sensitivity for the homing Shepherd X. I think there's a place for this in auto-tune. How many streams am I doing this week? It's gonna be 3. So we did yesterday because I had a day off. Today I started to stream because I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere and I wasted everybody's time yesterday. So this is a little bit of redemption, going through the firmware, trying to get stuff set up. So that's why. Okay. PMC Auto-Tune has like spell today. I need to change that Auto-Tune setting. Check docs. Yep, that's what I'm doing right now. I think Auto-Tune overrides the sensorless. And I'm just wanting to see what the so SGT, this is it here. Whatever the SGT is. And so I'm just using SGT. Auto-Tune does, yeah, that's what I thought. So I had forgotten about it, Reth. Just now realized that I had Auto-Tune installed because I couldn't get X to home properly. And I was like, oh crap, that's right, Auto-Tune. So appreciate the backup. SGT I need to add in here. We'll do it. And it should be starting at negative. Let's start at 35. Push TMC. I'm using 2160 on this board. So they get programmed the same as 5160. That is that. We move this to the center over here. We can get it to move. So Reth, we got motors moving properly for the quad XY, and then we have Y homing because it's using an end stop. Working on X right now. $35 did nothing. And just to be sure, we're going to comment out on up here. I'll comment this out just to have no conflicts. If it yells at me, then it yells at me. 35 did not work, so we'll do 15. Oh, that worked. Nothing. What are they saying over here? Sensorless set value appropriately if using sensorless homing, and that's it. Okay. Oh, you know what? So I'm not using 48 volts yet. It's 24 right now. We'll update later. Yeah, everything should be 24 right now. Don't think that matters really, but there it is. And I'll duplicate up here just to make sure these match. And so now they match. Because I'm doing that because when we moved it a minute ago, it didn't move whatsoever. I feel like there should have been a clunk or something I heard. I didn't hear anything. I mean, I felt that on the frame. That's why I got my hand up here so I can feel things. My Z keeps moving down though. I'm running out of room. Motors off. Okay. We do, I don't know. We do, call it plus 15. See if we can get there. A little bit of a thing, but it didn't. It needs to move more. And I feel like at 15 I should be moving something serious, and it's not. So let's go max just to be crazy. I'll be ready on the button, but see what that does. I want it to move. Hey, Reth, what do you think? If I'm running quad XY, do I need to set up sensorless on both axes? I don't know that I need to because there's no in stop. So I don't know why this won't home for X. Like it won't even move. And I'm not sure why. You think it's both X's? Like I need to run SGT on both X's? because right now nothing is moving at all. I'm gonna tell you what, to eliminate variables, let's just remove auto tune for a second and only focus on using the normal one on stepper X. If I use X1, you think SGT on both X's, but you don't run sensorless. Yeah, that's okay. So this would be stepper X1 is 0, 1, 2, 3. So this would actually be, oh, come on. My brain hurts. So when I get to X1 and Y1, the labeling got messed. I had to swap the cables around. So the Y1 should be motor 2, and these two basically need to swap information, but that would do the same thing as swapping the cables. Don't really want to do that, but I think this should just be M2 stall. The SGT here, I mean, it's here, but there's also not an in stop for X1. So I don't have a virtual in stop to change for stepper X1. Either way, we can make it 15. That's what the rest is going to be here in a second. Okay, something like that. What are my home speeds connected to? Like, what are those set at? 20? Positive direction, false. Actually, it should be true, though. I feel like that should be true. Because we're coming to the right-hand side. Means your in stop should be at the same MAC. Hey, hit the right button. Come on. I think that's correct. I just have to send it to see. 15 down here. 15 down here. Oh, it needs a pull up. If it yells at me. No? Okay. Well, that does it. Nothing. Oh, 63. Just gonna go max and see what happens here. Can't blame auto-tune right now because auto-tune is turned off. Need to bring Z up. It just won't allow me to do so. Do I have the diag pin jumper set? It doesn't have jumpers. You just make the change in the config. So there's nothing to jump or change for that. I'm worried that my Z is getting down to the bottom of the axis and nothing wants to home. Like even if I can move it, it grinds though. So I wonder if like the axes are messed up somehow. But it's crazy. So Reth, here we go, right? So I can home Y. Y is not a problem. But homing X doesn't want to home. So either either the config is incorrect somehow, or my XY motors are swapped around. I'm trying to think. I think what I'll do is just double check this config. I feel like my X and Y motors are swapped. Even though the Y will home, I feel like X is just grinding and that's why it's not homing. Okay, so motor 0, copy SGT setting from Y and Y1 to X and X. So Y is not sensorless. Y is using a in-stop. So those SGTs are in there, but they're incorrect. They need to go away. Yeah, so all of this doesn't matter because I'm not using sensorless. So that's probably more correct for the actual setup. And then if we look at the aliases, right? So all I need to do is just call out what is correct for it, for whatever axis I'm using sensorless on, and it should just activate. There's no pins or anything like that. But I'm going to cheat and look at my Trident config to see how the X and Y's are, their direction. Because I don't know, my gut tells me that this dir pin has something to do with it. So if X is moving correctly, it should be inverted. And then for X1 should be the same, and it's not. And then if I look at Y, Y should be inverted, and then Y1 should. So they should all be the same, like moving the same direction, but they're not. What is the main MCU board I'm using? It's a Corvus G version 0.6. Let's bring up the Chrome tab here for you. So looking at the Corvus, this is it here. So this board. So the MCU is 723, STM 723. But according to my other config, all the motors should move the same direction, and that should allow it to work. But that's not the case. So we'll save and restart. We may have to swap some motors around again, or swap some config areas. Oh. So I'm looking at, so in order from motor 0 to motor 3, I'm looking at XY, Y1, X. That's because a minute ago we swapped the X and Y motors on motor 2 and 3. But now that happens, I have a feeling that this is not going to want to home. So if I go X, nothing. If I try to home Y, I get like weird grinding, so something is backwards there. I did do stepper buzz, and that's what told me to move motors, because here's what I used, right? I used the boron one. We did this one. and we did buzz, but this doesn't match exactly everything on here. So I chose to use this one for the trident, and it says that it'll rotate clockwise first, then back counterclockwise. So I went through that whole process and got things moving clockwise first and then back counterclockwise. But when you're doing it with 4 motors, I want to say like having 4 motors changes the game. Try to move the axis up a little bit while these are disabled. Yeah, we can run through stepper buzz again though. I forget the command for moving the bed with the firmware. Let's get that. Move Z. Force move, enable move through, and then we have to add another line. That's the line I'm missing. You need both the config option enabled and to use the extended decode command. Oh, this help me out. Move this up. So we're gonna do. We'll say Z is at, I don't know, it looks like 200. Now I can move it up. Uh-oh. Get an overheat warning. Probably because it's fighting me. Things aren't exactly level. What are these temps? I'm not even looking at it. Oh, they're only like 40, 50 degrees. What are we talking about? Same thing. Overtime. So maybe we need to put some heat sinks on there. It's fine. All right, to get moving and help out here, let's do some stepper buzzing again. We'll get through it. Stepper buzzing on X. And ref confirm, X should be my rear right motor. Yeah, so X is reversed. And then we can do Y. Y is reversed. And then Y1. Y1 looks fine. Try that again so I can see it. Y1 looks correct. And then X1. X1 looks correct. So it looks like my X and Y need to be inverted. And X1, Y1 are See if that changes anything. Homework. Okay, Y is homing to the minimum. So let's see. Homing in the positive direction. What if I just swap that around? I still don't think that's correct. So if I come in here, if Y is moving forward, and the stepper's inverted. Invert both Y's. That's what I'm thinking too. So that guy and so look good. One more. So now it's homing X when I do that. And I wonder if that's because I have my motors swapped. Yeah, I think I'm a man. So going back over here, it looks like when I so X needs to invert as well then. Because when I home Y, X moves. What happens when I home X? This all-wheel drive stuff is challenging. Nothing because of sensorless. Dang it. Okay. I almost just want to come back in here and do, I really just want to make this X and make this Y. Put that here. We'll go with that. We may have to buzz again and see what happens. Because I feel like when I'm doing this that, you know, you should have Y motor back left, Y motor front right, and then vice versa for your X's. But this is not a boron gantry. It's different. So I got a belt here on the motor, this lower belt. So these two are X. These two are Y. See what happens here. Nope, it's not gonna work. Let's buzz all the things again. Okay, so X is correct. Y is incorrect. Y is going the opposite way, so Y needs to invert. Make sure that change is good. clockwise now, and then counter. You know what? Hard to see. I'll put some marks on here. These front ones I can see inside the idlers. And let's see what's up. These rear ones I just cannot see. But I think that's correct. Be going clockwise according to the information up here, and I think that's true. I think that's what's happening. I'm gonna rotate clockwise first, then counterclockwise. Okay. We saw that, so let's do X1, which should be over here. And it's not. It's actually over here. So, that's annoying. So, upper belt, back, here, upper belt, wait a second. Upper belt comes around through here. That's the lower belt. So that's a lower belt there. Upper. So these are right, and these are right. X and X. Yeah, Y is diagonal from X. That's what I'm looking at. It's just such a different gantry. I'm like double checking, freaking out because X1 should be over here, but it's not. It's actually over here when I buzz it. So the swap that I did earlier with these motors need to undo. Seeds. Yeah, this is super helpful. Yeah, but this is for core XY. We're doing quad XY, so it's a little bit the same, but a little bit different. I know that they are supposed to be diagonally from one another, but what I'm doing, so in the config itself, X1 is not diagonal. X1 is straight across. So what I've got to do is remove all of this and put it down here, and then remove all of this and put it up here, because the motors are swapped, and that should make them diagonal from one another. But I know that X and Y are moving like they should based on the buzz. Now I should be able to buzz X1, and I would expect that to be my front left. And now it is. It's also moving in the right direction, so that's good. And then if I do Y1, I should see front right. And front right is backwards. So front right needs to be inverted, and that would be Y1. Front right, invert, Y1. There. Okay. That should do the things. And so if I pull, let's see, pull on that, it goes this way, this would rotate to clockwise. This is the upper belt, so that would need to go. Okay, so in my brain, thinking about it logically, how things are going to move and belts are going to move through the system, motors should move the same direction. I think that's how it's set up. We'll find out right now. Okay, they're not. So Y needs to invert both. So dir pin here, and then dir pin here. Shrimp daddy. Okay, so that we should see this go back now. And it doesn't. It moves X. So I don't know what's going on with that. Like, why would it move X versus, like, so if I invert Y axes, it moves X instead of lots of similar tests after constructing your Voron to ensure everything was wired up properly. Yeah, the problem is it's driving me insane right now. It's hard to tell whether things are moving correctly because I don't have. I'm gonna just turn this off. Turn off sensor list for X because I just want to see move and try to determine which direction X is moving. And it won't move with sensor list right now. But if I try to home X, oh, because we need to change the pin back from stall to yeah, so we need to do this. Go here and comment this out, and then we need to do this. Not stall. It's going to be just let's see, invert Y, just Y, and leave, I think you mean Y1 alone. I'll try it. Then you're gonna have Y axes fighting each other. Back to that. More. Invert Y only, as you said. Y was working before you inverted both Y's. Yes, it was just working in the incorrect direction. Do this. Put that there. Y. Yeah, so it's skipping now. So that's what I'm saying, that the two Y motors should move the same direction. Because if not, they fight each other based on the belt path. X should also move the same direction. Because if not, they fight each other on the belt path. I'm just wondering if, like, I need to swap not only X1 and Y1, but normal X and normal Y. Like, so it's like a complete swap. Yeah, so we're gonna undo that. I'm just trying to think through this and kind of coming up with a loss because we're at the 3-hour mark. So if I want to home X, I need Y motor to invert, and I need X motor to also invert. I think we need to see what happens when you try to home X also. It's just, yeah, I think it's just stalling. That's where I was trying to go. So I need to, where's my pin? My motor 0, right? Motor 0 pin should be CS. What I like about these aliases, it makes it a little easier to swap this. So we put this in here first. And then this will be false. If it's stalling, then invert 1x. Yeah, I will. False on that. Okay, and then down below. So wait a second. We changed the end stop. We changed from sensorless homing, and then we go down here to the stepper driver. This should be CS. And SGT we don't need. Should be it. Okay, now let's see if we can home X. So X is backwards. And then I think Y is still backwards as well. So X and Y are both backwards. So we invert everything. That's what I'm thinking. If I follow the guide here. Yeah, I think Chad is like a minute behind. Because I'm in agreement with you, Reth. I think I just homed Y. So if I look at the guide here for a trident, X is backwards and Y is backwards. So both need to be, yep. So we're on the same page. Invert all the X's, invert all the Y's. Okay, so we'll do this one here, inverted, X1, inverted. Yeah, 30-second delay. That's what I'm seeing as well. Invert here. That's why I'm taking my time and allowing like people to say something or provide a comment without like just start doing things before the comments come in. So yeah, I appreciate you hanging out. All right, so everything is changed. Save and restart this. All right. You could be like Oprah with the inverse. You get an invert, yeah. That's pretty much what just happened. So we invert everything. And let's see what happens if we home Y. I like homing Y first because it has the end stop. Okay, so Y is good. Just really slow. That's by design. I want to break things right out the gate. I usually break things, 1,000 hours in. Man, we're just getting so close to lunchtime. Gotta start wrapping up. This sensorless though, that's gonna be. Yep, Y is good. We'll bring it back out to the center here. That's what normal speed should look like. Let's see if we can do X. X is good. Yeah, so we just needed to invert everything. And shut that down because there's no end stop there. Okay, now that things are doing what they should be doing, we can reactivate sensorless for the X. So we can turn true back on here. We can delete all of that. Okay. And then we go down to our true, yeah, it all checks. Come down here, checks, and turn this back on. And then drop that to, let's start at 0. Change our diag to stall. No hold currents anywhere. And auto tune is commented out. Let's try that. All right, so we know Y is good. We know X is good as far as direction goes. I feel good about homing X now. We'll be ready for a little bit of a buzz, plus my Z axis is at the bottom. I need to move that guy. I need to move this guy up a lot. Or else it's just going to sit there and grind against whatever. Where is that? This. And yeah, I think I think this one here on the front right is like off from the other two because I can hear it sort of. So this one is Z1 this time. Maybe Z1 is off a little bit. And it's causing the driver to overheat. Yeah, it gets caught up in there. But that should be good enough to try this. Right. Back to the config, and we'll okay. So 0 didn't do it. Let's try 15. I wonder if I should change the Z hop while I'm in here, so that it doesn't continually go down. Where is that? And let's make it 0. Remember to change that one later. Okay. Homing X. Nothing. I'm going to comment this out. I don't know that this should be there. Auto tune should be close to, yeah, but I've disabled it, right? So it's not even a thing. So once I remove it from the config like that, it doesn't do. Let's try 30 over here. But yeah, tracking that they should match if I do reactivate. It just doesn't move whatsoever. Like I've got 30 in there, and it's not even trying to home itself. I wonder if I need like more homing speed or something. Because going through the docs, it talked about making homing half of your what's it called, rotation distance for X. So if I got a rotation distance of 40, it had me do homing speed at 20. But if I look at the Clipper docs, it had a higher speed. It had us up at 80. So I wonder if that is something that matters. And then if I take SGT off of X1 and only use X, yes, already done. So here's X1. So X1 is already done, commented out, non-factor. Cool. about these sense resistors? So there is not... Oh, there it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure I verified all of those. If I put this at max and it doesn't go, then I don't know. I gotta do some more reading because I don't have enough time to continue to play with this thing. Increase speed, yeah. Here it goes, let's see. Nothing. Sense resistors are for current, yes. But it talks about making sure they are correct in the process. And mine are correct from what I remember. So in here, under your startup guide, I say your, but I mean me, it talks about sensors in the tuning guide. This is different than what Calico said. The way I like switches too. If you know of a place I can get an X-axis in stop for a Reaper carriage, I'll do that. I much prefer to have the in stop. And as much time as I've wasted today trying to get this thing to go, I may just design my own if I can't find one, because I'm starting to really get annoyed. Follow this other guide to make the switch. Here. Yeah, I don't need an example. I already did all that. I've already updated config sections. Fill a hole, make your own. Yeah. I just hate the idea that I have to... Oh, that's so painful. Like, I have to undo all of the belting. I've got it tensioned perfectly. I've got the right number of teeth, all that stuff. I have to take all of it off just to put an in stop on there. Assuming I print a new carriage, right? Otherwise, there are 2 heat inserts that I could add something to, but it would not be clean. It would be rather ugly. And then I need a, like on the printer itself, right? So there's this heat insert here that's unused. I could attach something to that and use that guy, but then I'd need like a bumper or something under these 2M5 to bump that as it comes over. I'm gonna move right now. So as that comes over, I would need like an arm to bring that all the way over here. The fan touches the joiner right now. I didn't notice that before, so I need to lop that off to get some clearance to bring this over a little more. But I'm thinking attach an end stop here, have a small, I don't know, trigger arm or something on there. It's about the best I'm going to be able to do. Either way, X does not home. You could create an L bracket with the switch on top of the rail. I could, but then I would need to do like a cable chain or something. Switch on the top of it. Yeah, I would need to do a cable chain or something to connect the in stop to the tool head board that I'm using. And I don't want to run a cable chain. I'd rather have the in stop on the carriage to the tool head board. You just need the bump stop if using sensorless. Yes, Bryce, you're correct. However, sensorless I cannot get to trigger. I've got it on max sensitivity, and even if it hit that fan that we were talking about, even if it hit on the joiner, that should be enough to trigger it, and it doesn't. It won't move whatsoever on the sensorless. So I've got it on max, and it doesn't do anything. Oh, the bracket would screw into the heat set? Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. I got to think through it and find the best solution. I just need to jump into CAD and kind of visualize and move things around to see what is best and then go from there. But yeah, that's what I plan to do later. I got to get like one big important work thing done today, and that's going to take me a couple hours, so I need to start wrapping up. But I mean, we got it kind of moving. It took us a while, but we got X figured out, we got Y figured out. We did some hot end PID. But this sensorless homing thing is just not working out. The bracket goes onto the right XY join on the underside to keep it from running into the fan. Oh no, I'm just gonna trim this eyelet. I'm gonna trim that off of there because this one is unused. I'll trim that off of there. That'll give me just enough clearance. So that'll give me just enough clearance to get past that joiner and allow this to come all the way to the right. And then once we have the end stop on there, that should be able to trigger on something here. It's where mine is on both of yours. The bracket goes. Bryce, do you have an X end stop bracket for that? I'm also not using cable chains on this. I want mine to connect to my tool head board. So if I install it on the XY joiner, then I would have to run wiring back. And I mean, I have the trigger here to touch my Y end stop. Let me see what you sent me. Okay. You're also using different XY joiners than mine, from what I can see. So you have standard boron stuff, although it's inverted. What am I looking at? Is this a Mercury? Looks like a Mercury. And it's hard to tell where your end stop is, though. I can see the little arm. I agree with you. You should probably have a bumper on the XY joiner that bumps the end stop on the tool head. Your second photo, I can't tell what I'm looking at. Either way, I think that's the plan. I think I'm going to do a little bit of CAD work tonight. Add an XY bumper here somewhere, something that'll connect with maybe this main M5 here, because that one's easy to take out. This will like move the rail around. So I'll remove this one. I'll add like a flat bumper or something on there, and then I'll figure out some way to attach an end stop. They aren't connected to the joiner, but the arm is just connected with an end. Yeah. I got you. I can do the same thing. I just need to figure out where I'm going to put my end stop. I don't have a place for it yet. And as far as I know, and tell me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, the Reaper carriage, the printed one, doesn't have a version that has an X end stop. If there's a mod out there that you know of, shoot it my way. That would be greatly appreciated. But as far as I could tell, I could not find a Reaper carriage with an X end stop. No. So I got to solve that before I can solve how do we trigger that. Yeah, I know the carriage does have that extra heat insert on it, so I plan to maximize that and we'll see what happens. There looks to be some space in there to do it. Just gotta figure out how it mounts, but we'll get it. Nonetheless, I need to wrap it up, folks. So I appreciate you guys hanging out for the duration. We've had at least 14 people here for 3 hours, so that's pretty awesome. Thank you all. Enjoy your weekend. Today is Friday, so rolling into Saturday tomorrow, no stream. Sunday like normal. Hopefully between now and Sunday morning when we stream like normal, I will have this thing homing like it should. I'm really kind of worried about the Z-axis, to be honest. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but we'll need to figure out a way to space that down probably, and then make sure that it's triggering. And if we can get those things going, this should print. So we'll see. Updates on Sunday. Y'all have a good weekend. Talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out with me on a Friday morning.